Hey everybody, it's Abby with Creative at Home, your painting instructor today, and we are going to do one of my favorite paintings today. This is a really cool one. I love rainbows. This is a great painting for kids, for adults, for everybody. I love it when my live events pick this painting because it's one of my favorite to paint. Can't believe I've not done this video yet. But it is Color of the Night. Back it up a little bit here. And it is one of my favorites. Like I said, it's just a really pretty version of the rainbow and cool trees and a moon in the sky. So hope you enjoy it as much as I do. I'm going to switch over my camera so that we can go through supplies. But feel free to pause, fast forward, do anything, rewind throughout the video so that you guys are right along with me. I've painted this quite a few times, so I may go faster or slower than you. But I want to make sure it's a good experience for you. So we'll go ahead and switch over and get ready to paint. All right, thanks. All right, we are ready to go on the painting here. Have my supplies, have my canvas here. It's 11 by 14 canvas board, portrait orientation, my water cup and paper towel. We also have brushes, and I like to mix my colors with my knife. But I have a large 3/4 inch wash brush. You can also use a sponge brush or any kind of brush for this is going to be used for the background. And then the only other brushes, these two are the same, but it's just a number 3 round brush for details, and then we have a number 6 round brush for more of the details on the trees. So those are the supplies. As far as paint colors go, we pretty much have the whole rainbow here. We have mostly the background is going to be made up of black and white and blue, and then the a little bit of purple, and then we'll also have red, yellow, red, orange, yellow, green, in addition, as we paint those cool little trees at the bottom. So let's go ahead and get started with the background, and then we'll take a short break to let it dry, and we'll keep going. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and start mixing just a little bit of gray, and this is going to be a really light gray, so just a teeny bit of black in there. That's probably even too much. So this is a little darker than I wanted it, but I'm just going to blend it in with my white, so don't worry about that a whole lot if it's darker than you want, but you really just want it to be a really light gray for that moon. And then what I love about acrylic paint is you can just blend it all together, and the more white you add, the lighter it's going to get. So we're going to put a moon right in this center here. Remember, the trees are going to kind of come up this way, and so we want that moon to be really prominent in the center of that painting. So we're going to start by painting with this gray, and again, I'm going to lighten it up a little bit, but it's easier for you to see on the screen here. I'm going to paint a 3-inch diameter circle, and it doesn't have to be exact, but we're going to get that going here. Okay, so that's going to be the center of the that's going to be the moon, okay? And we're going to lighten it back up. But all of the other background strokes are going to go around this circular spot, okay? So I'm going to start by just adding some more white in to lighten that up, okay? And just get that to be a little bit lighter, and we can continue to lighten that up, but we're also going to start bringing that out and spreading that out even further, okay? So I'm just going to kind of keep that circle here, that 3-inch circle kind of in my brain, but I'm going to start spreading that paint out around here. And then, since I have that wide thing, I'm just going to start, I'm not rinsing my brush out, okay? It still has that gray and that white in it. And I'm going to grab just a little bit of my blue paint, and I'm going to start swirling that into this center here around that edge, okay? And just kind of mixing that together, and then slowly start adding more blue into this this background, okay? So, and you're going to have it go off the edge there, okay? And there's a whole lot of blending happening here, so don't worry if, you know, like I don't like that area up there right now. Don't worry about that, okay? So I'm just going to start bringing this blue all the way around, okay? And I'm going to, using that circular motion, I'm just going to keep blending that out until we get all the way to the bottom of this canvas here, okay? So while I'm doing that, just going to keep blending that all together. This background is really all about blending here. Okay. And just keep getting it in here. And then we're going to add bits of black because we want this to get darker as we go down, okay? So we're going to keep adding this circular look to this background, bringing that up. Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. So this is where I'm probably gonna rinse my brush. All right, we'll go ahead and rinse my brush, and then I'm gonna work on some of this blending because it's a little choppy for me here. So I'm gonna rinse this really well and kind of smush it on the bottom of my water cup, okay? All right, then I'm gonna dab it, get all of that water, as much as I can, water out on this paper towel here. And I'm just gonna pick up a little bit more white paint and start working on some of this blending here again to make sure that we have it the way we like it. Okay, so we want it to be really white, but then start to blend a little smoother into that blue. So you can see how just adding that little bit of white into that gray and that blue really kind of smooth that out, okay? All right, so you can just kind of keep going out from the center. All right, so that's the centerpiece. Now we want to kind of add some depth to the rest here. So again, I'm going to rinse that brush out, and I want to have some dark to offset that light. So I am going to use just a little bit of my purple, and I'm just going to kind of start streaking some purple into this blue here. Okay. Just adds that little bit of extra color and makes it less flat of a blue shade. And just kind of streak it. You don't want it to be, you can streak it in with the white. Like you could add a little bit of white in there to lighten it up. But yeah, so here's some purple in there, and then we can start to add just the tiniest. So I'm really almost not getting black on my brush, okay? Because it really, you can see how it just shows up big time when you use a lot. So I'm just going to add some streaks of black in here as well. So teeniest bits of streaks. Okay. Alright. Just to add some depth of color to this teeny bits. Alright. And you can see how we're just kind of bringing that in there. Might add a little bit more black, and you can kind of have it dry, get darker down here. You want to paint the background like it's gonna be visible so that you like it, but you got to remember that it's not, you know, a lot of this is gonna be covered by trees. You can always add more purple and blue if it gets too black. Okay. And just again, just making that. Alright, so I feel like I'm pretty happy with this background and the blending of it. Get those streaks out. Okay, so now we are going to let this dry. So you want to have this dry completely before we move on to the trees here that are going to go. So we're going to go ahead and take that dry break, and then you can come back and we'll get it finished up. So this is a great time to take a break, let it dry, have a drink. Blow dryer is a great thing, a great tool if you are in a hurry and want to get it done. I hope that's not the case. But we'll go from there. So we'll see you back in just a bit. All right, we're back from the dry break, and it is time to tackle these cool leaves. So let me get my sample here. All right, so we're gonna start following the rainbow, and it's gonna go red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Okay, and so we want it to form a U shape at the bottom of this canvas here. So your red is gonna start up a little bit higher. So here on this canvas we have it started about halfway up. So you know it's kind of up to you. It depends on a little bit about where your moon shape is. But we can look at that here. So this moon's a little bit lower, and it's not this, every time I paint this it's different. But I still think I'm going to start my U shape right there because I want a lot of color. Like that's my favorite part of this painting, is this really cool shape. Otherwise it's just a circle on a canvas. So this to me is what makes it, and so I like to have a good amount of that color. Other things to see, and we'll go through each one of these individually, but it's going to get lighter towards the moon, so the light is shining off of there, and then get darker as we head down to the ground. So when you're thinking about that, I'll walk you through each of those steps, but we'll go from there. So we're going to start on this side of the canvas. Each one is going to be about 1 to 2 inches across. So we're just going to start that way. And I'm going to pop open, should have done this before I restarted the video, but I'm going to pop open my red, my orange, all these colors. And okay. Alright, so the brush stroke is we're just going to start dotting these, okay? So I'm just going to grab some red, and I'm going to do it all in red, and then I'll come back with shading using some white and some black additions, but I want to do it all in red to start, okay? So again, we're going to start kind of in that top midpoint of the canvas and head over and down. It's a pretty, we can follow the U shape of the moon that we did. And I'm just going to start, these are quick, I'll show you from the side. These are quick little plops of the brush, okay? So they're broken up. We want them to be melded together, but you're not actually painting a leaf shape, okay? So we're going to go over about, we don't want a perfect line, so I'm going to kind of have a couple up there. But that's about as far over as I'm going to go on the red here. So I'm just going to start working my way down then with this red here. And we'll blend in some other colors. And you can see that after, as the background changes, it gets a little bit different too. But we'll just keep going down. And we're gonna repeat this for each of the colors. So this is where the time is on this painting, is in this, getting these correct, these trees looking good is in the leaves here. And just kind of bringing it down. And if I didn't say it before, I'm using the larger of my two brushes. Otherwise, it could take you hours to do all this. So we're going to head down this way here and just keep going. Okay. And again, we don't want to align, but we want to kind of do a little bit so that the first color is always going to kind of blend into the next color here. So we're just going to kind of keep a little bit spread out about halfway into that next color. Okay, so now I've have my base dots basically, and then I'm gonna get some red paint, and I'm gonna start with dipping my red paint into my black. Okay, so if you see over the white, you can see I have mostly red but a little bit of black, and I'm just gonna start blending that in down here at the bottom. And you can use straight black if your paint's still wet, and you want to kind of have it very dark at the bottom here. It's going to be a really dark red. And then again, just like you spread it out here, you can spread that darkness out as you head up. And then there we go. Okay, and then we're going to rinse the brush to get that black out. And we're going to do the same thing coming down with white. Okay, so we're just going to start bringing this down. And this is going to take a little bit longer to blend in. And you kind of just go over it with some red. Just like that. Okay. And you want to make sure that's not that straight line. Okay, so I feel like that's a pretty good representation of the red. And we may come back to that once we see kind of how the orange works out. It's a process, so don't, you know, just give yourself some grace and learn and do all that with it. So, okay, so now I'm going to start blending in this orange, and I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to continue to have that U shape come down. Okay, and we don't want it to be just like somebody drew a line. You can blend some of the orange over into the black here. And remember, we have to do the same kind of orange and black blending that we had to do with the with this color here. And we'll kind of pull over here. Okay. Alright, so then we can pull some black in here into the bottom. And you can use some red down here too with the orange to darken that up, because sometimes the black will turn it brown. So if you just kind of mix some red in there too, it won't be as brown. Okay. And if it gets too brown, you just go back in with some orange and kind of blend it a little bit more. You can add some darker red. Just kind of play with the color. And then you can always rinse that brush. And then we go in with the white up at the top. It's too much water. Let me get some of that out. Okay. There we go. You can see that white just makes it kind of pop a little bit. Alright. Blend that red a little bit more in. Okay. Alright. Let's try just a teeny bit more black in here. Get it a little darker. Just right down in here. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to move on to yellow. And yellow is a little tricky, so we're not going to blend black into yellow. We're actually going to use the orange to darken the yellow up, and I'll show you what I mean by that. But we're going to grab that yellow. Okay, so we're going to do this here. And blend it in with the orange. Okay, so you should be about halfway across your canvas now because you have 3 more colors to go. So when you're doing that, you want to leave some overlap to allow for blending, but just from a spacing standpoint. So if you're not about halfway across your canvas, you may need to move your colors over, otherwise you'll be uneven. And if that's what you want, you go for it. And if not, this is your good opportunity to fix it before you get too far. Okay, so I just kind of blend and overlap those colors a little bit there. And then I'm going to darken up this yellow down here at the bottom with orange as opposed to and maybe a little bit of red as opposed to the black, just so that otherwise it gets really dark. Okay, so I'm going to come in with some of this white up here so that it looks like the light is shining off of it and it's highlighted and pretty. And blend that darker color, those darker colors in a little bit more and spread it out so it's into the green. It's not an exact science. Blend that, looks a little. Alright, so there's our yellow section. So now we're going to climb back up this U shape, okay, with the green. So we're going to start with our green paint, and again we want to kind of hit it right in here. There we go. Just kind of blend that one in. This green is a little hard to see. The blue gets a little dicey too. You kind of have to blend it all just because of the background. So, kind of spread this side out. There we go. All right. Blending that all together. Making sure you have good coverage. There we go. Alright, so now we're going to start, I'm actually going to start with my white this time. I'm just kind of blending that in up at the top. There you go. You can always, like I said, go back over it with some of the, just the green. If it gets too white, it'll blend it together the more you kind of play with it here. And it's okay to get some lighter pieces down in this section. Then you can pull that black in and darken it up with some more green. Just keep blending it all together. That black gets a little scary. Remember when I started this, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't fix it, but everything's fixable. Okay, so I feel like we're in pretty good shape on that blue, or on the green. And again, if you're struggling with that stuff, pause it, rewind, watch it again. Just take your time on this stuff. So now I'm going to add my blue, and I want to watch my space a little. I may actually end up cutting off some of this green here. Because I want to make sure that purple's got space. Okay. Just kind of bringing this in here and using, I like to use the blue all the way down first so that the paint is wet, because it's hard to blend on dry. You can't really blend with dry acrylic. So I'm going to get this all down, and then I'm going to very quickly start blending in the blue and the black, because you can't really see it on this canvas because of the background. So it'll all be good, don't worry. I'm thinking, I can't really see this. And you're right. Okay, so go ahead and do the black first. We're gonna start blending that in here. Alright. And you can always just mix some more blue in there. Okay. And then I'm gonna rinse and just get some blue and blend. Oops. some fresh blue just down in there so that it's okay. So now we're gonna get the white going here. All right. And you can see how now, even with the white, if you want to just bring that white all the way down, you can. It'll help you see that blue on the canvas. Okay. All right. A little bit more. All right. Okay, last color. I'm going to move on to that purple. Get all that blue and black out of there. Dry that off. And we can just start. So think about this. You're going to start it up there. Okay. Alright. So just kind of overlapping that blue. And just keep going down. Alright. Almost there, getting all that blue covered up. Blending it in with the blue leaves. And then we can start darkening, lightening, and be in good shape here. Okay, so I'm going to pull the black in first. And you don't need much for this purple because it's pretty dark. Alright. And then rinse that out. And we're going to bring the lightness in here. Lighten that top part up. Yeah. Again, you can just add some more of the purple color. And it'll start to blend together. And just kind of, like I said with the blue, I bring it down a little further with the purple and the blue, just because it's such a dark canvas and it's hard to see those colors. Okay. Alright, so I don't want this to be a straight line, but I also feel like I want to bring this green section up a little. So I'm just going to pick up some green and some white at the same time. and just kind of bring this up just so it's not so even. Like I feel like it needed to be lifted a little bit more there. Okay. Alright, and then we can do the same thing. Maybe here. Just to kind of bring those up. So grab some orange and some white and bring that up a little. Can stick out a little bit like that. Okay, and then of course we'll need to bring the red up. Just a little. It's the way it goes, right? There we go. Yeah, I think we're good now. What do you think? The yellow? Should we bring that yellow up? Just a little bit. Okay. Alright, so then we'll bring that yellow up just a little. Again, so it's not just straight. A bit more white. Okay, yeah, I think we're good. Alright, so we are going to call it a day on these trees. I think I'm happy with how they came out, where they are. I think my leaves are good. We're good on that. So, alright. And then now we're going to keep going and we're going to work on using or adding the branches in the trees. Okay, so we're going to put some branches over the leaves like this. You can do thinner or thicker branches, however you'd like to do it, and then we're going to outline them and highlight them with some white. So we're moving right along on this painting here. You do want to make sure that it's dry, so I think that I am going to just kind of pause here for a minute and make sure that we get this good and dry before we smear our hard-earned work. So second dry. All right, we're back and dry. Okay, so I'm going to start working on these trees. So I have my smallest detail brush here in my hand, and I am going to grab some black paint. And when I'm doing things like this, I like to grab small amounts of paint just on the tip of my brush, and then I like to choke up, and you can kind of rest your pinky finger here. But we're just going to start by painting one strip up like that. Okay. And you can, the less pressure you put on your brush, the thinner your lines will be. Okay, so for example, if you look here and you touch barely, you get a thin line. If you push down a lot, you're going to get a thick line. Okay, so it just depends on how thick of a line. So if you want thin lines, you have to not push as hard. Just make sure you have a good tip on your brush, okay? And if you don't have a good tip, you can roll it on your paper towel until you have a good tip like that. Okay, so we're just gonna add some branches to this tree here. And you can add as few or as many as you want. Okay, so there's our first tree. You can always make a line thicker. It's hard to make it thinner. So I always like to start thin and then you can always thicken them up. Okay. Alright. So these are silhouetted trees. Okay. Alright. Okay. So we'll just keep painting. Keep adding those trees. There we go. Alright, two more. We are getting there. This one's got a little bent branch. You can get creative with these trees. There we go. All right, and the last one. And just kind of have to pretend on that last branch, but or trunk. You don't have to fill the whole space up, but I feel like it needs a little bit there. Okay, so we have those trees. Now we're going to rinse that same brush out, and we're going to switch to some white. And we're just going to highlight certain areas with the same thing, that small amount of paint. Okay, so we're going to hit not everything, but just little bits. To kind of highlight those trees and make them stand out a little bit more. Go. Alright, so just touching them up a little bit. You can come down the tree branch or trunk if you want. Alright. Alright. Keep it going. Alright. Okay. Alright. Almost there. Got that last tree. Okay. Highlight those last couple of branches, and we just have to add some stars. And we are finished with this cool painting. This is one of my favorites. I just think it's so fun. Okay. Alright. So now we're going to add some stars on this top part here. And the coolest way to do that, and easiest way, is to take the hard end of your brush, and we're just going to dip it in your white paint, and we're going to start adding dots. So if you twist just a little as you're putting it down, it adds some cool dots. Okay, and of course you Can put them right over. Just like that. Okay. Adding those. And if you really want to get funky with it, you don't want to go around the thing because then it looks crazy. But if you really want to get funky with it and you have a toothbrush, let's see, or any other kind of brush, you can probably do it with this. So if you get all the water out of this guy, and we just pick up a little bit of white, if you get it a little bit wet too, forgot that step, kind of thin it out. Okay, just kind of adding those drops. Get those smaller bits on there, and it's a little hard to see on the screen, but they're there. All right, and there you have it. We have, oh, if you want to add, I'm sorry, I forgot one step. If you want to add some larger stars, you can use your small round brush again and just kind of do some plus signs throughout. And then you can take it through some of the other stars that you've, like the little dots, just to kind of bring those out. Okay. All right, so there we have Color of the Night. I like to sign my artwork. You can if you would like. And as always, I appreciate you painting with me today. This was a really fun one. I really enjoy this painting. I've said it several times, but it's just such a fun, beautiful, I don't know, I'm a sucker for a rainbow. So thank you for painting with me today, and I hope to paint with you again. You can share your artwork as always using my hashtag creativeathome.art. And please follow me on Facebook or Instagram, Creative at Home Art as well. So keep painting. I love painting with you guys. Thank you for spending your time with me, and stay creative.